Will Raymond van Barneveld be lifting that trophy again as the first round continues here at the Ladbrokes.com 2008 World Darts Championship at the Alexandra Palace? Here's what's coming your way in our two sessions today. We kick off with the preliminary matches involving players from India, China, New Zealand and Holland. Then into the first round proper, Andy Jenkins against Miloslav Navratil from the Czech Republic, Wayne Jones, Tony Eccles, which could be a humdinger, Andy Hamilton, Leroy Kvadik, another one of the crop of young Dutch stars, and Alex Roy, who's turned up in a limo today, against Warren Parry from New Zealand. Evening session, what about this? Dennis Priestley against Steve Maish, Adrian Lewis, Dave Askew, Raymond van Barneveld against Anthony Ford, and we round off the evening with Vincent van der Voort against Jelle Klaassen. Hi there, good afternoon from North London. A star-studded day ahead. 10 matches in all for you in our two sessions, and 3 world champions in action this evening. Rod Harrington, former world finalist, is here. A good-looking day ahead, Rod.
Absolutely, Dave. Yeah, I mean, especially this evening, we've got some great matches, some good players, you know, and some players that are on good form as well.
Raymond van Barneveld, the pressure's on. He hasn't got too tough an opponent in Anthony Ford tonight. But how will he be feeling and how will he be building up to this evening?
Well, he'll be looking forward to it. I mean, all for probably a couple of months is all he'll be thinking about is this. But the one thing I can't understand with Raymond, he's changed his darts. He's changed over these black enamel darts, which visually affecting the board is totally different. You know, after he's playing so well all year, why go and change your darts? I mean, if you're driving a Ferrari, you don't go and buy a Vectra, do you? You know, and I can't understand why he's done it.
Other gossip from behind the scenes, Andy Hamilton's got 1 or 2 problems ahead of his game this afternoon.
Yeah, he tripped down the stairs and twisted his left knee, which shouldn't give you too much problem because you're standing on your right knee more than anything. But what it does, when you're walking, you're compensating. So that's putting pressures on the cartilage on the right knee. So that may cause, if he gets through today, which I think he will, that may cause a little bit of effect as we go through the tournament. And
in the afternoon session, these preliminary rounds continue with China, India, New Zealand representatives turning into a true world game now.
It is now, yeah. I mean, these guys, this is like a Christmas they'll never forget, to get on that stage as big as that, you know, live on Sky Sports. I mean, that is a dream come true for these guys.
I should bring you up to speed if you missed out what happened yesterday. Take you through the crucial results. This was a great performance from Jamie Caven, 31-year-old from Leicestershire, a 3-0 victory over Wes Newton. Dennis Ovens, well, Colin Monk didn't get a leg in that match, a 3-0 victory for the Heat there. Mick McGowan in the All-Ireland clash beating Jason Barry 3-0. And Barry Bates, despite a leg injury, doing a 3-0 job on Jerry Convery from Canada. Evening session, what about this? Bob Anderson out of the first hurdle, the 88 world champion. Real surprise in the second match of the evening session. Kirk Shepherd, a youngster from Kent, beating the world number 4 Terry Jenkins, who had 7 darts to win the match. We'll talk to Rod about that in just a moment. Chris Mason going through comfortably in the end against Steve Brown, who is a player I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of in the weeks and months to come. And Kevin Painter, I've got to say, one of the best performances of the opening round so far. Kevin Painter, will it be his chance to get to yet another final like he did in 2004? I guess the big story yesterday, Terry Jenkins. Today he will be feeling dreadful. He should have won that match.
Absolutely. I mean, he had 7 clear darts at a double. But the thing about it, you know, he struggled on doubles for the whole match, but normally Jenkins, he's experienced now, he'll come through it. But I mean, the darts were like 1 inch to 2 inches away from the double. And then you see a little bit of pressure in that last set against him, you know, and you haven't seen that of Jenkins, you know, for years.
How does he pick himself up? Because he's getting a reputation. It's a hard thing to say, but a bit of a bottler in pressure situations. I mean, he's been in 5 finals in the last 12 months. He hasn't won any of them, and he's gone out the first round in the World Championship. Does that suggest to you he's got problems?
Possibly not problems, but he is even talking about that he keeps losing in finals, which is not good. You get that in your head, you know, you don't want negatives at all. But, you know, he's going to get up. As the days go on, you know, the pain will ease more, but he's going to have a bad Christmas. But what he's got to do is just after Christmas, just try and relax, have a Christmas, you know, a few Christmas dinners, and then after Christmas, you know, get back on the board and practice. But sometimes players they start to come down on that slippery slope, and they've got to level themselves out. They've got to stop that and then go up, but some players just keep going and going, and that's when the danger comes.
Kevin Painter, performance of the first round for you?
Absolutely, played brilliant, Kevin, last night. He's been playing really well the last 2 or 3 months. He's one of the players that you always see him angry on a stage. You always see him shaking his head. He used to think everybody was lucky and he weren't, but he's got all that sorted out. He just concentrates on his own darts, and he's playing, well, that was certainly the best performance of the tournament.
Where will the polished performances, where will the shocks come as we look ahead to a cracking day of darts here at the Ali Pali? Tonight, will Dennis be a menace at the World Championship? How will he handle the pressure at the Palace? Will Adrian Lewis hit the jackpot at the tender age of just 22? Could it be a golden year once again for Raymond van Barneveld as the world champion begins the defence of his title? And rounding off the night in style, it's a case of double Dutch as Vincent van der Voort meets former Lakeside champion Jelle Claassen. Well, the first of our players in this afternoon's session, Thursday the 20th December, if you've lost track of the dates, as you do this time of year, don't you? This will be interesting. India against China. India's #1 player for the last 4 years, Ashfaque Sayed, against Shai Yongsheng in this preliminary round, best of 9 legs. Rod Harrington is dashing to commentary as I speak, where he's joining Stuart Pike.
Yes, a real international flavour to the 2008 World Championship, and it's great to see these different countries represented. Shi Yongsheng we saw 12 months ago making his debut at the World Championship, but for Ashfaque Sayed, a real experience and a real chance, and he's only been playing darts, would you believe, for just over 4 years. But you know, what a stage, what an opportunity for both these players.
Yeah, certainly, Stuart. I think the thing in their advantage is that we haven't got a packed audience here. We haven't got 2,500 people in here this afternoon. We've got a good few, but I think that would help these players. But what a Christmas for both these boys. You know, they've travelled from across the world to play on that stage, and it is a huge stage. It's very intimidating. I went on there this morning for the first time just to have a look around, and I was even in awe of it. You know, I thought, blimey, this is something different.
Yeah, the biggest stage on World Darts in more ways than one, nearly 130 feet wide, and it's bound to be an intimidating experience, certainly for these two men, as I think it has been as well for some of the most experienced men in the world of darts. You know, they've not complained about the stage. It's a fantastic venue, and the players, for me, have just not been able to get used to it, not been able to get their heads around it because it's so big.
Well, you're exactly right, Stu, and I don't think, like you said, you know, if you asked any of the players, I don't think they can put their finger on what it is. But certainly we haven't seen, you know, good seasoned class pros, you know, performing at what they have been doing for the last, I don't know, months. I mean, Terry Jenkins was a typical example last night. He could not get close to them doubles.
59.
7 clear darts, you know, and he goes out to a young fella.
Well, preliminary round, just to remind you, leg format, first to 5 for a place in the first round proper against Alan Warren on Friday afternoon. A great story surrounding Sayed. As I say, just been playing over 4 years. The Indian national champion
60
in all, 4 years on the spin, and darts growing. Who'd have thought The latter stages of the World Championship, by the way, being shown live in India.
121.
It's the man from China, Xi Yongcheng, who seems to have settled down to the task.
Well, we've got the village people in tonight, or this show this afternoon. This guy, you can see the tension on his face. Yongcheng is a very good soft tip player, comes over from China with a good reputation. There's not a lot of difference as long as you throw a light dart, you know, changing back to steel tip. You can see the way the dart goes in the board. He's a soft tip player.
100.
Talking about the weight of the dart, Sayed uses 27-gram darts, and just give us an insight into just how heavy they are. I mean, they really are big weapons of choice. I mean, big, heavy darts.
Well, they certainly are. When you think that Dennis Priestley throws about a 14, Colin Lloyd throws an 18. So you're talking a lot of grams, and of course 60. The experienced and top players do not throw big bulky darts, because once you put one in the treble, there's not a lot of room to put the others in, and that is the reason why the long thin barrel darts, you know, a long thin barrel, put one in, you can see the treble good, and put others in it. But certainly, you know, they're nearly put a warhead on them still, and there'd be a Scud missile, I think.
So chance here for Xi Yongcheng. Tops it is.
40. Ashfaque requires 64.
The 43-year-old from Pune. Well, he's got the choice. It'll be double 16 for the first leg. Well, he wasn't 46. Far away. Xi Yongcheng to win his first leg at a World Championship. 12 months ago on his debut, lost 3-0 to the Pie man Andy Smith. Didn't win a leg. He has now, first to 5. And the man from China is on the board.
Game on.
Yeah, it's always nice to get the first leg under your belt, hit the first double, just settles you down. But this guy now, he needs to just put a leg on the board. Good first dart, expect to fill it up, which he has.
140.
There's nothing worse when you're up there for the first time and you look round and you see a big arena and you see the big pitches on the side of the 4 world champions, which looks really impressive. And like you said earlier on, Stuart, even the season pros has been intimidating for him, as we see Yongcheng's throw.
Well, big moments for both these players, and the chance to play
36.
Warrener in the first round proper, and it's all about experience.
Interesting release from Sayed there. Normally 41. Your fingers would point at the treble 20 on release. He opens his hand up a little bit like Dennis Priestley. His release, what I would call, he just on release the hand is off, and that can cause a little bit of problem late on and under pressure.
88.
As we see this, he pulls it right under his chin, which is good, but as he releases, you can see him pointing his hand to the right, which is not a great release. Under pressure, that will get worse, and then you'll start hitting the 1s and 5s.
100.
He's quite a star in his homeland, Sayed. His wife is a 2-times champion of India. His 13-year-old daughter, the first ever
64.
Youth ladies champion. He's been the subject of a recent documentary as well, The Darts Family of India.
81.
Well, certainly, you know, the darts is going all over the world, and I think the reason it's becoming, you know, really, you know, good all over the world is because it's a show, it's entertainment. It's just not 2 people throwing darts, you know, at a wall.
41.
You know, the way Sky do it, they make it all with all the intros and that, and I think that's bringing the kids into the game.
Well, that's nearly the treble 13 there, Shi Yongsheng.
85. Ashfaque, you require 132.
Now, which way will he go? Could go the bull route. Well, he went for the treble 20. Can't check out now, and a chance for the man from China to go 2 legs up.
80.
Yeah, possibly a little bit of inexperience there. The shot for 132 and your opponent's on a shot would be at the bullseye in 25. Tops now for 2-0 for Yongsheng. Just below that.
Game starts in the second leg.
Good third dart to go 2-0 up. And Sayed has got to get it back. He won't want to walk off this stage without winning the leg. He wants to go home and say, well, look, it was intimidating. I've really had a great time, but I won some legs. That's what he really wants to do.
Shi Yongsheng winning the Chinese qualifiers
80.
for a second successive year. Not too bad for this stage of a competition for a preliminary round, both averaging around 80. And we've seen worse
85.
from seasoned pros this week so far. Chris Mason was averaging under 60 in losing the first set against Steve Brown, but then must have been averaging around 105 because he won the next 9 legs to win the match.
Yeah, that's right. It was an atrocious first set. Sometimes that happens, but what Chris Mason did do was hang in there. He didn't let it affect him, didn't let him upset himself, and dug in. And I think that Steve Brown was just
60.
overawed, you know, by the size of this place. He just didn't know what to do. And Mason's come out on top. And as we've always said, Mason is such a dangerous player. You know, on his day, he can beat anybody,
80.
but he just doesn't have enough of them days.
Yeah, Painter against Mason in the second round. That will be one terrific match here in the darting battle between
81.
India and China. Yeah, Chinese holding sway. Happy birthday, son! Just wondering as well, a little bit of experience. I know he lost heavily to Andy Smith in the first round in the World
140.
Championship 12 months ago, Shi Yongsheng, but just that little bit of experience may count for something. Smile on the face of Shi Yongsheng. He enjoyed that ton 40.
60.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Stuart. You know, there's no substitute for experience, especially on this big stage. You know, there's certain runs of a ladder you have to go up in your, you know, when you're trying to make it as a pro. So the more times you can get on that big stage, the easier it does come. And then, of course, you know, you have your first win on a major stage, and you see so many players then move on from there and become a class player, you know, and a total professional dart player.
Do you miss it?
I do at times.
59.
I have to say I don't so much now because I'm still heavily involved in all aspects of the game, which is it's keeping me busy. But you know, I kind of think, you know, perhaps I'll change my nationality and try and nick a game up here next year.
58. Ashfaque, you require 156.
Well, Shi Yongsheng should win this from here. Amazing to think that as an organised sport, darts didn't start in India till 5 years ago.
44.
The All Indian Darts Association getting the game running over there. Very much still in the embryonic stage, which is why the appearance of Sayed is so important. Tops it is, though, for 3-0 in the race to 5 legs.
Ashfaque, you require 112.
Well, it'd be great if Sayed could take this out. Be looking at treble 20. It's actually a good shot out, 112. So you've got both darts at that treble 20. Now he'll probably go 12 for double top. He won't want to go for a 20, I shouldn't think. Now that is a little bit of excitement coming there. You know, the old adrenaline pump went through his body, and we call that a flyer.
She require 40.
Well, he'll be really disappointed with that. You're quite right, Rod. He could see a chance of winning a leg. Will he get another double 10 for Shi Yongsheng of China?
20.
Well, Sayed is going to get his opportunity to win a leg at the World Championship.
Well, he had one dart at this double in the first leg, which he missed. He's had to move across, which actually would make the target bigger. Now, if he moves again, although he hasn't, should make the target bigger.
16.
Unlucky.
20.
For 3-0. 3-0 it is, and just two more legs for Shi Yongsheng for a place in the first round proper of the 2008 World Championship. Sayed was telling me, actually, having a little natter with him in the practice room before, that huge viewing figures. They put the latter stages, I think, from the quarterfinals onwards of last year's World Championship, and you know, the fact that the likes of Taylor and Barneveld are household names, talked about sportsmen in India, and the viewing figures for the final, the greatest game as we call it, when Barney beat Taylor, were enormous.
Well, that's what we've got to do, Stu. We've got to spread the word all over the world. You know, we're hoping next year the PDC to take 4 or 8 players, maybe out to China, Japan, the Philippines, down to Australia, back to South Africa, which we did early part of this year, you know, on a tour. Take the players at a professional level. Instead of, in this country, we've had to drag it out the pubs, drag it out the holiday camps to put it on this big stage. We're taking it over there at that professional level. TV. It's what we need.
Well, Sayed has had 4 darts to win a leg at the World Championship.
60.
I think that's all he would want from here. I mean, it looks that Shi Yongsheng is just a little bit of a class above the man from India, but to win 1 leg at the World Championship, to give him the encouragement to go back and try and win the national championships again and try and come back next year.
Well, I certainly think that when Sayed goes back, you know, this little bit of experience is going to certainly help. But he is at a disadvantage because Yongsheng, you know, China and Japan are actually quite healthy for darts. As I said, it's more soft tip, but the steel tip is coming in over there. But he's playing at a good standard in good competitions, you know, quite regular, which is obviously is helping him a little bit up there, especially when it comes down to them doubles.
Well, Alan Warren will be watching this with interest. He won't be too worried, will he?
No, if we're going to tell the truth, Alan will be sitting there, you know, feeling quite comfortable. And, you know, you don't like to say, well, I'd rather have that player or that player, but when that draw comes out, there are a group of players. You know, I used to do it and say, well, I want to play him or play him. So he wants double 12 for a 78 checkout.
66. Ashfaque.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear Phil Taylor talking the other night, saying, you know, it's great to have a first round tough match. Don't believe a word of it. He'd much prefer to be in Barneveld's situation. The world champ coming up, his first appearance later tonight against Anthony Ford from Barbados. Here, Shi Yongsheng, double 6 for 4-0.
Well, it's gone the wrong side. Let's come to the left, which he does. Yeah, good third dart. And it'll be interesting tonight, Stuart, to see what sort of darts that Barneveld comes out with. As we see the double 6 go in for a 4-0 lead to Yongsheng. As I was saying, you know, Barneveld changed his darts a few months ago. And he uses a completely black enamel dart now.
125.
If I was influencing Raymond, I would have told him to get rid of them and gone back to his old darts, but we'll see.
Yeah, just a quick point on Barneveld. Is presumably then no coincidence that the second half of this year
95.
he's not been at his best.
Yeah, exactly right. I can't understand why he's done it. Maybe for commercial reasons, to sell a few more sets of darts, but you know, you've got to win. If you want to change your darts and sell them, you've got to win with them darts. And you know, the old adage of, you know, what ain't broke, don't try and fix, you know, and I really can't understand Raymond for doing it.
Well, we'll find out a little later on, I'm sure. Eric Bristow is having a word
41.
with the world champ today. You'll be able to see that tonight. And Shi Yongsheng closing in on a comfortable victory here in the preliminary round.
60.
Yeah, it's a shame. It looks like Sayed ain't going to win a leg. It would just been nice to have gone home to say, well, an experience, and I won some legs, but I can't see it now.
No, it looks like being a whitewash for the Chinese number one.
An easy one.
Disappointing for Sayed.
$120.
It's just more their consistency that is the problem with these new players. They miss too many big numbers. You've got to concentrate on hitting the treble 20s. And if you miss the treble 20, you keep it out the ones and the fives.
Well, the incentive for Sayed is to win the Indian Championships and earn himself a place at the World Champs next year with a little experience of the big stage, which is exactly what Shi Yongsheng has done. 5 legs to 0, and the Chinese number one is through to the first round of the World Championships and a date against Alan Warriner.
What? He couldn't even find a market. Everyone's got an opinion. What's yours worth?